The house is quiet now. Too quiet. It's the kind of silence that hums in your bones. That fills your ears until you think you might scream, just to hear something human. I sit at the kitchen table, fingers wrapped around a chipped mug of coffee gone cold. Outside, dawn creeps over the horizon, brushing pale light across the frost, glazed fields that stretch behind our home. The birds haven't started yet. The world still holds its breath. And in this silence I pray. Not with words. Not anymore. Words failed me weeks ago, when the doctor came into that sterile room with eyes that couldn't meet mine. "Mrs. Parker," he'd said gently, "we did everything we could. Everything." Such a cruel word. It makes you think of completeness, of effort meeting success. But everything wasn't enough. Ethan was gone. The silence began that day. He was only 12. I can still see his shoes by the door, one untied lace curling like a question mark. His sketchbook sits on the counter, open to a page he never finished. A half-drawn dog, tongue lolling out, as if it too waits for him to return. People tell you grief comes in waves, but that's too gentle. It's not waves, it's a riptide. It drags you under, spins you in black water, and you come up gasping, never knowing which way is the shore. The church sent casseroles. Friends sent flowers. My sister called every night for a month, her voice soft with pity. "You've got to eat, Anna," she'd say. "You've got to get out of that house." But how could I leave when every corner still held him? When even the air still smelled faintly of his shampoo and crayons? So I stayed. And prayed. At first, my prayers were desperate, shouted into the void. Why him? Why not me? I screamed into the walls until my throat went raw. Then I stopped screaming. The silence answered more kindly than the echo of my own voice. The silence became my church. Every morning, I sit here. Same mug, same seat, same ghost of dawn. And I listen. Sometimes, if I close my eyes, I almost hear him. The scrape of a chair. The patter of bare feet on linoleum. The soft humming he did when he drew. It's faint, but it's there. One morning, about 3 months after the funeral, I heard it clearly. A knock. 3 sharp taps, like the sound of his knuckles on the table, when he wanted my attention. I froze, heart hammering. The air went still. "Ethan," I whispered. Nothing. Just the wind against the window pane. But something shifted inside me that day. Not madness. Though maybe it looked like that from the outside. But a sliver of something I'd forgotten how to hold. Hope. The next morning, I set out his sketchbook across from me, just as it had been. I placed a pencil beside it. And I prayed again, silently, that maybe he'd find his way home. I started doing it every day. It became a ritual, like communion. Coffee for me, an empty chair for him. Weeks passed. Seasons shifted. The frost melted into spring. The world kept moving, indifferent. But my world stayed still. This kitchen, this silence. This prayer that stretched longer with every dawn. Then, one morning, the pencil moved. Just a fraction. Barely an inch. But it rolled toward me. I blinked, breath catching. The window was closed. The air was still. I reached out, trembling, and touched it. Warm. That night, I dreamed of him. He stood at the edge of the field. Sunlight spilling around him like gold dust. He looked older, calm somehow. "Mom," he said. "Don't be afraid." When I woke, tears soaked my pillow. The dream felt more real than anything had in months. From then on, I began writing to him in the silence. Not aloud, not on paper, but in the spaces between breaths. I told him about the robins nesting in the oak tree. About the new neighbor with the loud dog. About how I'd finally started walking down the road again, without feeling like I was abandoning him. Some days, I could almost feel him listening. Then one afternoon, while cleaning the attic, a task I'd avoided for nearly a year, I found a box I didn't recognize. Inside were his old letters to God. I'd forgotten about them. He used to write prayers instead of saying them out loud, folding the pages and tucking them into a shoebox under his bed. The top letter was dated just a week before the accident. "Dear God," it read in his uneven scrawl, "please make Mom smile more. She works too much. I think she's tired. Please give her something to be happy about. Also, please help my dog get better. Amen." The dog had died a few days after he wrote that. I remember holding Ethan as he cried, promising him everything would be okay. I'd lied without knowing it. I clutched that letter against my chest, and wept until the attic light dimmed. That night, for the first time, I spoke my prayer aloud. "Ethan, I don't know if you can hear me, but I miss you. And I'm trying. I really am." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It felt full, like something unseen had leaned close to listen. Time passed. I started volunteering at the community center, mostly to stay busy. The first day, a boy named Caleb came in. He was 10, quiet, eyes too big for his face. His mother had died of cancer. He didn't talk much, but he drew constantly. Pages filled with animals, trees, stars. When I saw his sketches, something in my chest ached. His lines were clumsy, just like Ethan's had been at first. He sat next to me one afternoon, wordless, concentrating hard on a drawing of a bird. The pencil slipped from his hand and rolled across the table toward me. "Sorry," he said softly. I smiled and handed it back. "That's okay. You draw really well." He shrugged, shy. "My mom used to draw with me." The silence between us was heavy, familiar. Then, without thinking, I said, "Mine too." It was a lie. But maybe not entirely. Over the next few weeks, Caleb started talking more. He'd tell me about his dad working night shifts, about how he missed their old house. Sometimes he'd laugh, and the sound would startle me. Light. Sudden. The way laughter used to fill our kitchen. Every day after volunteering, I'd come home, sit at the same table, and tell Ethan about Caleb. About how he was helping me remember how to smile. One evening, I told Caleb about Ethan. "He was about your age," I said. "He loved to draw too. What happened to him?" he asked gently. I hesitated. "He got sick. It was fast." Caleb was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Do you think he can see you?" I swallowed. "I hope so. Maybe he's proud," he said simply, returning to his drawing. Something inside me cracked open again. This time, not from pain, but from light. That night, I dreamed of Ethan again. He sat at our kitchen table, sketchbook open. Across from him sat Caleb, and they were both laughing. I stood at the doorway, afraid to move. Ethan turned, his eyes bright. "It's okay, Mom," he said. "You can let go." When I woke, I wasn't crying. For the first time in over a year, I felt peaceful. The silence that morning wasn't heavy. It was warm, like sunlight on my skin. I still pray in it. But not for miracles. Not for answers. I pray in gratitude. For the time I had. For the small ways love echoes, even after life stops speaking. It's been 3 years now. The house still holds its quiet. But it doesn't frighten me anymore. The world hums softly again. Wind in the trees, the ticking of the old clock, the distant bark of a neighbor's dog. Every once in a while, I still find little signs. A drawing that slips from a shelf. A pencil that rolls when no breeze stirs. Maybe coincidence. Maybe not. Sometimes when I walk past the field at sunset, I hear laughter in the distance, faint like a memory too stubborn to fade. And in that silence I stop, close my eyes, and pray. Not for him to return, but to thank him for never really leaving. The silence has become a language of its own. When people ask how I got through it, how I learned to breathe again, I tell them the truth. You don't stop missing someone you love. You just learn to carry them differently. You find them in the hush before dawn, in a child's laughter, in the scratch of a pencil on paper. Sometimes, I wonder if the prayers ever truly leave us, or if they linger, unheard by ears but not by hearts. Last week, Caleb gave me a drawing. A field at sunrise. 2 figures holding hands. One tall, one small. He'd written underneath, "For Ethan and his mom." I framed it and placed it above the kitchen table, next to Ethan's last sketch. The 2 drawings seem to belong together, like conversations across time. And every morning, I sit beneath them with my coffee, breathing in the silence that once nearly destroyed me, but now sustains me. I still whisper sometimes, though I don't need to. Thank you. For the love that remains. For the boy who taught me that prayer isn't always spoken. For the silence that answered back. Outside, dawn breaks again. The first bird calls. And the world stirs from its sleep. I smile. In the silence I pray.